My parents barged into my job, screaming that I destroyed the family legacy because I refused to pay my spoiled sister's rent. They accused me of being a disgrace, called me a traitor in front of my boss, and demanded I hand over my paycheck. I walked out mid-shift and went no contact, but they didn't expect what I did next. Now they're in absolute panic. What have you done? You went too far this time. Let me preface this by saying I, 28M, have always been the responsible one in my family. The guy who did everything right, graduated with honors, got a good job, and never asked my parents for a dime after I turned 18. Meanwhile, my younger sister, Lindsay, 25, has coasted through life like it's one long TikTok dance challenge. She dropped out of college, burned through 3 different apartments, and currently works 2 days a week at some crystal shop while my parents cover her $2,200 a month rent. Or used to, I should say. That's where this all started. A month ago, my dad called me in that, "I hate to ask you this," son voice, and said he and mom were tight on funds and needed me to temporarily cover Lindsay's rent for a few months, just until they got back on their feet. I told him no. Not rudely, just honestly. I work hard for my money, and if Lindsay wants to live in a luxury apartment downtown, maybe she should get a real job. He was silent for a moment, then muttered, "You're turning your back on your family." I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. 2 weeks later, while I was managing a client pitch at my marketing firm, a job I'd worked my ass off to earn, my parents barged into the office. No warning, no appointment. They stormed past the front desk and came straight to my workspace, red in the face and yelling. "You ungrateful brat," my mom screamed. "How dare you abandon your sister? You think that paycheck makes you better than us," my dad bellowed. "We raised you to protect this family, not destroy it." My boss, my team, and half the damn office froze mid-conversation as they laid into me. They accused me of turning my back on the family legacy. We don't have one, by the way, of selling out for a corporate job. And my mom even had the gall to demand I hand over my entire paycheck then and there, like I owed it to them, like it was mine only on loan. I looked around at the shocked faces of my co-workers, my boss glaring daggers, my parents completely unhinged. Then something snapped. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just stood up, took off my badge, looked my boss in the eye, and said, "I need to step away." And I walked out, right in the middle of my shift. My coworkers tried to stop me. My boss asked if I needed a leave of absence. I said no. I just need to not be around people who think they own me. That was the day I went no contact. I moved to a new apartment and got a new job in a different city, thanks to an old professor who heard what happened and vouched for me. For a while, the silence was beautiful, but then the texts started coming in through alternate numbers, emails, social media DMs, friends telling me my parents were freaking out, panicking because what they didn't know, what they never expected, was that I'd finally had enough. And I'd already done something they'd never forgive, something that made them shriek. "What have you done? You went too far this time." After walking out of my job, I went dark. New number, new city, new apartment, a clean break. For a few weeks, it felt like breathing air that didn't taste like guilt and obligation. But the rage didn't go away, because the more I thought about what they did, the public ambush, the entitlement, the expectation that my paycheck belonged to them, the angrier I got. They humiliated me at my workplace, screamed at me in front of my boss, tried to make me feel like I'd betrayed them for not being Lindsay's personal ATM. But they never stopped to consider what they had done. So I took action. See, my parents have always been obsessed with appearances. They run a small family-owned antique store back in our hometown, Heritage, a legacy that's more about ego than income. The truth is that store runs at a loss. For years, the only reason they stayed afloat is because I'd been quietly supplementing their business account with auto transfers every month since I was 24. They never asked. They just expected. Well, those auto payments? I stopped them the day I walked out of my job. And that wasn't all. I also contacted the CPA who does their taxes, whom I recommended and pay for, by the way, and let him know I was no longer affiliated financially with the store in any way. I made it official, removed my name from the joint business account I'd co-signed just to help them qualify for that equipment loan years ago. But here's the kicker. When I was still helping with their finances, I set up everything digitally, all the point-of-sale systems, payment processors, even their Square and online store back end. I own the domain their store used for the website because they didn't understand how to register it. So, yeah, I shut the site down, transferred the domain to a dummy page that says, "Closed for restructuring." Please direct all inquiries to Lindsay, financial director. Petty, sure, but poetic. Oh, and I did give Lindsay a taste of what being the family legacy feels like. I redirected their business phone number to her cell. Now she gets to explain to confused customers and angry consignment vendors why orders are missing, invoices are unpaid, and the website just vanished. Within a week, I started getting emails from my uncle, their accountant, my cousin, who sells pottery through the store, and even old family friends, all basically asking the same thing. What's going on with the store? Your parents are saying you sabotaged them. Lindsay was freaking out. Finally, the cherry on top, a panicked voicemail from my dad's burner number that ended with, "What have you done? You went too far this time, son." Too far? I kept a failing business alive for years. I paid Lindsay's phone bill for 3 years without her knowing. I helped cover the deposit when she trashed her last apartment. I never complained, but the moment I said no, I became the enemy. And you know what? Maybe I am the villain in their story. But in mine, I'm finally free. So after shutting off the money hose, redirecting the store's website and phone line to Lindsay, and formally removing myself from every financial entanglement, I figured I'd earn some peace. I was wrong. Enter the flying monkeys. That's what I call the family messengers. Cousins, uncles, distant aunts, and that one church friend of my mom's who still thinks I'm just going through a rebellious phase. They came out of the woodwork fast, flooding my inbox and DMs with the usual mix of passive-aggressive concern and barely disguised manipulation. Family is everything. Don't let money come between you. Your sister's not built like you. You can't expect her to survive on her own. Your mom is devastated. She hasn't eaten in days. Your dad says you'll regret this when he's gone. Right, the man who stood in my office shouting about how I was a disgrace is now a fragile victim. Got it. At first, I ignored them. Then I started responding with one sentence. Did they tell you what they did? 9 times out of 10, I got no reply, because of course they hadn't. But then came the bombshell, an email from a woman I barely knew, my dad's half-sister from a previous marriage. We'd met maybe twice. She wrote, "I don't know you well, but I want to tell you I'm proud of what you did. Your dad pulled this exact crap on me when I turned 30. Said I owed it to the family to help. He's been doing this for decades, guilt-tripping people, making them feel selfish for wanting to live their own lives. It ruined me for years. You broke the cycle." Suddenly, everything clicked. This wasn't about Lindsay, not really. She's a symptom, a spoiled, clueless product of the same machine that had been grinding down anyone who didn't play their family-first game. The difference was I walked away. But apparently, that wasn't the only thing they were panicking about, because just 2 days ago, I got an official letter from a lawyer. My parents are being audited. Remember when I told you I removed my name from the business accounts? Well, the new CPA flagged some inconsistencies, and the feds apparently want to know how they managed to claim employee payroll for people who never existed, and how they got loans co-signed by someone who hadn't been active in the business for over a year. Oops. I haven't spoken to my parents directly since the day they humiliated me at work. But based on the 17 missed calls, the "you've destroyed us" voicemails, and the one particularly unhinged text from Lindsay. You think you're better than us? We were a family. You ruined it. I'm guessing they've finally realized what they lost. And now they're scrambling, not just financially but reputationally. When your entire identity is built on being a tight-knit, respectable, legacy-loving family, and suddenly the golden child cuts all ties and disappears, people notice, and they ask questions. And you better believe I'm not covering for them anymore. It's wild how quiet the phone gets once people realize you're not bluffing. I've been officially no contact for 6 weeks. That means no calls, no accidental messages from my mom pretending she texted someone else, no guilt-laced voicemails from Lindsay ending with whatever. I don't even care anyway, complete silence. Well, almost. While they've stopped reaching me, they've started reaching everyone else. Friends, old coworkers, even an ex from 2 years ago who messaged me out of the blue asking, "Hey, your sister DM'd me asking if you'd be open to a peace dinner." Seriously. But here's the kicker. I didn't just walk away from them. I walked into something better. I got a new job, remote, double the pay, where my boss actually respects boundaries. My life is quiet, stable, peaceful. No more surprise expenses. No more "we need you to co-sign." No more rage texts about Lindsay's rent being late. And as I settled into my new routine, I started hearing the real consequences of my exit. When you cut off the responsible one, the whole structure collapses. The antique store shuttered. Permanently, not just temporarily closed like their website says. The landlord locked the doors after months of unpaid rent. Their Square account was permanently banned after a fraud investigation over duplicate charges and unfulfilled orders. Even worse, that audit wasn't just a threat. The IRS froze their joint account. And guess whose name they were still trying to use on certain tax filings? Mine. Luckily, I'd already gotten in front of it. Sent notarized statements proving I'd removed myself from all business affiliations before the paperwork. Their CPA backed me up, but now they're facing legal scrutiny with no golden child left to blame. Then, just last week, the final unraveling, a GoFundMe. No, I'm not joking. Lindsay posted one titled, "Help Save Our Family Business and Legacy," complete with a dramatic backstory about how a malicious family member sabotaged their store out of jealousy. I got sent the link 4 times by different people, all with captions like, "Is this about you, dude?" Wow. They raised $85 in 2 donations. One from a church friend, one from Lindsay under a fake name. They're not panicking because I hurt them. They're panicking because, for the first time ever, they have to actually stand on their own. And they can't, because without the one person they treated like an ATM, a handyman, a therapist, a punching bag, they've got nothing left but each other. And the legacy they claim I destroyed was always a house of cards. I just stopped holding it up. Last message I ever read from my dad said, "You were supposed to take over. We built this for you. No, you built it for yourselves and expected me to pay the bill. I'm not a disgrace. I'm not a traitor. I'm free." Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story and want more juicy Reddit-style tales, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Drop your thoughts below. Was I justified? Did the family deserve what they got? Who was the real villain here? Hit that notification bell so you never miss a new upload.